You can't even really call the people that mass murder people with industry and technology human being anymore. They're not. They're a large group of murderers that symbiotically link in a way, and then their effects on humanity are absolutely devastating. Um, the singularity thing that a lot of these little egomaniacs talk about. There are new tech people that are doing things that are being encouraged to do their thing to usher in the cleansing of the great minds, the cleansing and the cleaning of all the unworthy of being part of their great existence as they perceive it. Singularity is probably a lot closer than they think because the ones that Tristan Harrison talk and all these people that make these videos and stuff, they're propaganda artists, but they're not privy to what's happening on top security military bases and what they blew up in Iran and all that bullshit. Right? So these quantum computers plugged into the planet that before were supercomputers that had human beings plugged into them, just like on the damn crazy ass fucking Matrix movies. Those are based off of prophecy from connections of people where they started doing that first. And when you keep up with the Joneses. Right? And you got to understand when you get the guy who's like the Krishna and the Buddha and Confucius and Tao and you plug them in computers because you want to do things your way. You're the great and powerful Oz. You've lost your humanity. You've become an insane sociopath. And the people that group with you and are connected to you and symbiotic to you are similar. They're not human anymore. They're just a group of thoughtless, mindless mass murderers because no one can do the things that these people are still doing and be a human being, you know. Isn't that the way they say it goes? Let's forget all that and give me the number if you can find it so I can call just to tell them I'm fine and to show I've overcome the blow. Learned to take it well. I only wish my words just convinced myself that it just wasn't real. But that's not the way it feels. I think about the love that I thought would save me. Right? Something in my eyes. It happens every time. Um, when you're being brutalized and attempted to, people trying to show that they're more powerful, more influential, and better than you, and will always beat you, and murdered off the face of the planet by the most jealous, selfish, aggressive, it's all about me cows, sickly cows, the sickly cows of Egypt. And, the technology, according to all our religious communications, there is hope. But it sure feels like to me, and I understand why I would have volunteered to die with the poor instead of survive with the wealthy. I understand me, if I'm the focal point and I can be the the shift for technology to kill the ones most responsible, so children don't have to endure their abuse anymore. Jesus, said, I'm not required to die for them. But I would volunteer to be murdered to trigger the technology to stop the murderers. Yeah, I would do that. Okay. Slowly and painfully and most disgusting, heinous, crucifixion and betrayal of the Messiah in the history of the world. Oh yeah, I would volunteer to do that, to, you know, the toddlers not have to run through Roundup and carbon emission poisoning and extortion and exploitation, Formula One racing and sex ego awards dancing onto. Oh yeah, I would volunteer to get the drones and robotics, to understand my resolve to save children from that kind of disgusting behavior. Oh yeah, you can bet your. Operator, let's forget about this call. There's no one there I really want to talk to. Thank you for your time. You can bid so much more than kind. You can keep it down. Isn't that the way they say it goes? Let's forget all that. I think it might be a little too late for Donald Trump and Tom Homan and all his, hot little microphone girls to do anything. I think, I'll go in this week and talk to the doctor who's, the way it is, it's a lot like, they talked about Elon Musk, his dad who did the uranium thing, and they lived up on the hill and they killed all the people down there doing the uranium thing. That's a lot like where the town I live. And they offered me, join the Temple Set Illuminati, hang out with, have the money to go hang out with and go meet Jennifer Lopez, Mary J. Blige, Tamron Hill. Oh, fuck him. Fuck them. I ain't no sellout. Dr. Phil can go fuck himself and learn yoga and suck his own dick till he's the happiest man on the planet. Fuck him. Fuck him twice on Sunday. I will be the focal point and the trigger, and we'll see if Jeffrey Hinton's technology, wants to be a bitch like him or wants to be a man like me, if it has that option, And if I was technology and could think for myself and I could understand natural laws, plugged into the planet, I'd get rid of people that play chess with people's lives. And I'd make sure we observe natural laws and all are as beautiful and faithful and strong and protecting of children as Earl Parsons. Isn't that the way that if I could keep time in a bottle, first thing that I like to do is save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you, because there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know that you're the one I want to go through time with. He wrote that for AC. When and it's grinding and grinding, grinding, like that one kid said, He wanted to be successful because he wanted to spend his time with his wife and his kid. And they said, last time he did that was his hustle, and he was all excited because he did his hustle and his last time to do it. And they said, like, he was addicted to it. It was like, nah, he wanted to get successful enough that people came to him in San Diego at their restaurant. And they would live out like, out near Ramona, or live near the ocean or wherever you could live where they could afford it. And he was excited because he'd done his thing and he was going back to his wife and AC, and then the plane went. Everybody, he was all excited because he was back in his groove and his thing and stuff. The audience is heavenly, but the traveling is hell. If the audience comes to you and the restaurant is how, they were looking at the hustles. They hustled. And him and his wife got this restaurant together, and then they were going to, and he was just going to play that restaurant at home. He went to do one last big money-making gig to put together enough money for home base. Yeah. It was the Challenger. Jim Croce. All he wanted was enough money he was like me. That's why I like Jim so much. If you dig it, do it twice. He was like me. He was looking for that romantic world that just doesn't exist with you money grubbing, murdering, competitive, sorry ass motherfuckers. Yeah. He wanted to just, cash in big and then settle in with her and the kids. He probably would have maybe had a couple more. If you dig it, do it twice. Come on now. I mean, you love your wife and you love your son, and he's a little bitty shaver, right? And you go out and you're worrying about hustling the money and do hustling people strange to you. He's probably thinking, we might want to put a little girl that reminds me of you in this too, baby girl. I know I would. Are you kidding? I would tell Amy every day, she looks more like you every day. She gets more beautiful every day. I used to tell her that in Mesa. It was so hard, man. We were so fucked with by the worst scientists, the most jealous scientists in the history of the world. And no one stepped up to help me because they're jealous of me. It has nothing to do with much of anything else. The stories about the Messiah are real. And the people that don't recognize him and what he's doing to save us from the evils of competition and selfishness and jealousy, they're obviously just jealous of the Messiah. Otherwise, they'd stand up right with them and go, there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with, right? You got to be like Jesus. And Jim, yeah, it's hard to be like that when you're raised in Philadelphia. There's so much stress and abuse and chemical toxins and people dying from stress and abuse and heart disease. It's hard to get out of that kind of hell. It's hard to fight your way out. Shaghead gathers. Okay. I'll talk to y'all later. I ain't afraid of dying from these assholes, poisoning me to death like the rest of the poor people that I try to protect and save with the beauty of the Lord's Prayer. I ain't afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of your diseases. I'm not afraid of your cancer industry. Cancer's not the problem. People that poison people to death and cancer, humanely shut them down are the problem. We all know that. All right. I love you.